our leadership and visionary people within my library staff, which is phenomenal. And for them to, I think, set aside pride and set aside normal statistics that I think some libraries use and be able to say this is where we need improvement was very courageous. And when we first got the results, we didn't score high. We lack in some basic infrastructure things. We lacked in technology. But for my staff to be able to go into the community and say, this is what we need to work on, and that first education piece that has been so important of that staff that has gone to Chamber of Commerce events to explain this, to the council, of course, to me, and say, we need to work on these things. So I'll say my first thoughts were how proud I was of that staff, but secondly was we have work to do.
Really, since 2010, we're about rebuilding and kind of rebuilding from scratch. And WorkSmart is a program that really takes advantage of the great ideas that people have every day, regardless of where they are in the organization. So the idea behind it is that kind of innovation happens locally, and WorkSmart is a way to both make that happen locally and to share it across our library system so everybody benefits from the innovation happening at one branch as opposed to another branch. In the process, improving the customer service experience at the location as well as the system as a whole. And it could be anything from kind of digital literacy skills, kind of training, to kind of community outreach for kind of underserved populations. The point is that the whole branch works on every goal together and has to measure success, has to talk about how they measure success, and then sustain that measurement and that success for at least 3 months before they can apply for certification in the program. Well, Mecklenburg County was certainly one of our key partners in WorkSmart. They've been a key partner in many things, and we've really worked on that relationship over the last few years. So one of the things that the county does for us is bring expertise that we don't have in-house. So staff are really good at identifying where the rub points are, where things don't work as well as we wish they did. Often we're able to kind of create those solutions ourselves and kind of figure out ways and try them and see if they work or not. But sometimes we need kind of outside help. And Mecklenburg County has been a great source of assistance, particularly around technology, facility kinds of issues, expertise that we don't have on our staff anymore. So that's been tremendous. They've been a great partner in that. And their interest is really about creating the best organizations, whether it's a county department or an organization like the library that is independent, that receives 90% of our funding from Mecklenburg County.
I've always felt that a strong relationship between the city manager and the library director, and between the city itself and with libraries, is vitally important for the livability of a community. One of the distinct benefits that libraries play in the life of a city, to me, beyond what people just think about when they think about a library, is that while a part of the city, libraries are seen as somewhat independent, as a kind of safe or neutral space in a community for people to come together. And so we recognize that our libraries play an extremely important role in the democratic, little d democratic life of our community, a place where the trust in the city is enhanced when it's coming through the perspective of the library, because they're partly seen as one, independent, intellectually free, but the value systems are focused on being unbiased, and much less likely to sound that the city is just sort of trying to promote its perspective or its agenda. So, and for all the other typical reasons, but I think this is really, really important thing for people to remember. The symbolic and real value of libraries, particularly in our country and our system, are essential. And I don't think any city manager should underestimate the important role that they play in our communities. So it's impossible for us as a city to not be closely linked with the school district and very directly invested in the well-being of youth in our community. And with 5 libraries, actually, 5 library branches in our city, which is pretty unusual, I think, to have that many libraries. Particularly, that's probably in about 14 square mile area once we exclude open space. We see libraries as a center for supporting not just the STEM-focused education, but STEAM with the arts and humanities as part of it, and libraries are a perfect place for that. The MakeX project that we have actually was a partner between our libraries and the city's Arts Center, working together to kind of create to engender a kind of creative space for youth, both as an for educational reasons, but also to represent sort of the kind of changes that are taking place in the tech industry and in the business climate in Palo Alto.
Well, being a member of ULC has been really beneficial for me because it helps me see libraries in a different light and think about how they can add value to the greater context of what we're working on in cities. And to hear library directors and professionals and trustees come together and talk about these emerging issues, things that they're dealing with in their communities and in this industry, gives me a better understanding of what they do, how they're thinking, how they're trying to position libraries to the benefit of communities. Well, thinking about the libraries in the context of what we do in city government and strategic goals really helps. I really think about libraries as a partner and how they can leverage other strategies that we're working on. For example, libraries are key and critical to education and partnering with schools, partnering with after-school programs, reading programs in the summer, all really add to the mission and the goals of what we're trying to get young people to do in the education field. They're relevant in economic development, in health, in community building. They create senses of place and community and anchors in community. And all of those kinds of things, those partnerships, libraries being an asset to cities and communities, really fits them nicely in the broader goals and strategies of our municipality and many communities that I know and work with.